Well, if the groups are that similar, then any difference between their mental and physical health most probably was due to the fact that one group smoked ganja and the other group didn't, right?
That's what we presume.
And what was the major difference? Something startling, I hope.
Very startling. The ganja smokers actually weighed 7 pounds less than did the non-smokers.
Wait a minute. I thought that pot smoking gave you the blind munchies. How come the ganja smokers weighed less, not more, than the natives in your control group?
It's a cultural thing, I suppose. Here, the myth is that pot smoking makes you hungry. In the Amazon, they believe it calms your stomach. As I'm sure you know, our feelings and behaviours often reflect our cultural background and social biases.
Everyone knows that, but stop teasing me. Surely the ganja smokers had poorer health.
No, not at all. We took x-rays of their lungs. Both groups showed fairly normal tissue, except for the men that didn't smoke ganja had a bit more scarring. But then, as we said, both groups were heavy tobacco smokers as well.
Well, imagine that. But what about the genetic damage?
The ganja smokers all had parents and grandparents who have been heavy smokers. You'd expect some genetic problems from that, wouldn't you? Yet, the ganja smokers actually showed slightly fewer genetic abnormalities than did the men in the control group.
Oh my. I don't think the Deputy Assistant Secretary is going to like your data at all. That's his problem now, isn't it? Well, what about the personality differences between your experimental and control group subjects?
None. We found no significant difference in personality, intelligence, tendency towards mental illness, or brainwave recordings between the two groups.
But what effect did the ganja have on the men's intelligence?
No effects that we could detect, which is just what we might expect, given the July 24th, 1981 Science article by 2 psychiatrists at the UCLA in Los Angeles.
They studied savages in the Amazon too?
No, they studied 10 Americans living in the southern state who had been smoking marijuana daily for an average of 7.4 years as part of their religious ceremonies. The UCLA psychiatrists found no impairment of cognitive functions among their subjects.
But what of social consequences? What of motivation? Some scientists insist that pot smoking decreases the desire to work and the ability to get along in society. Did you find that that was true in the Amazon?
Of course not. The smokers had no more trouble getting or holding a job than did the non-smokers.
But how long had the pot smokers been puffing on this ganja?
On an average, about 18 years.
And all that ganja didn't affect their sex lives?
Not that we could tell, or at least, not that the wives or girlfriends noticed. More objectively though, the men in both groups showed normal amounts of male hormone.
But wasn't there an article in Science back in '79 suggesting that ganja may affect the sex hormones?
There are several such studies in the literature, but an article in the March 25th, 1983 magazine may give us a clue to what's really happening. Several investigators gave high doses of THC to female monkeys, found their menstrual cycles were badly disrupted for several months. After this period, however, the animals adapted and returned to normal. Any new drug you introduce into a subject's system is likely to cause a temporary disruption of many bodily processes. Eventually, people simply adjust and go about their lives. And you must remember, the men we studied in the Amazon had been smoking for an average of 18 years.
Oh dear.
You aren't going to object to our publishing results, are you?
No, surely not. As you obviously know, your findings really aren't all that surprising, given the results of the Jamaica and Costa Rica studies, and what we've already discovered here.
What about your assistant secretary?
Well, I take my cue from Winston Churchill. He once said, "The truth is incontrovertible. Panic may resent it, ignorance may deride it, malice may distort it. But there it is." Leave the Deputy Assistant Secretary to me. Besides, rumour has it he'll be leaving for another position shortly. So let the truth prevail.
And the truth will set you free.
Let's hope so. But the truth is, I still don't understand why some natives smoke ganja and others don't.
Individual choice, we presume.
Yes, and perhaps some difference in sensitivity to pain.
Pain?
These men work 10 hours a day or more in the fields, doing very difficult manual labour. They use cannabis as a painkiller. They probably produce less per hour when they're stoned, but they seem to be able to work longer.
And then what do they do at night when they want to relax?
They drink alcohol.
No kidding. Perhaps they're not so different to us after all. But that's what we wanted to find out, and that's why we supported your research. Please, publish your results wherever you wish. And in conclusion, I'd just like to say, it's been a pleasure working with you both.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Have a nice day. Pity about those natives. Working so hard in the field all day. Oh well. Suppose they need a little something too. Just to help them get through the day. Oh well. Different smokes for different folks.